A big thanks to Gymnastic Planet for supporting this episode. Gymnastics is a challenging sport, but having the right tools in your gym bag really does help. Gymnastic Planet is a leading manufacturer and distributor of essential training kit. They provide the best quality products, including world-class speed equipment, handguards, and chalk. They also specialise in club services like venue design, maintenance, and installation. Backed by decades of experience, from competing and coaching to club management, Gymnastic Planet aims to help gymnasts succeed and enjoy their craft. If you'd like to find out more, visit gymnasticplanet.com.
In this episode of the Sam Oldham podcast, I'm joined by Jamie Lewis. In 2025, Jamie became the English all-around men's gymnastics champion and followed that up with the British title. He was subsequently nominated onto the GB team that represented Great Britain at the European Gymnastics Championships. Jamie and the team won gold, and Jamie finished 9th in the all-around. He's had an incredible career so far, an incredible year, and this is Jamie's story. Jamie, thank you for joining us, mate. I'm really, really excited for this conversation because I think there's actually a lot of value for not only a lot of gymnasts that are still competing and are maybe around your age in their mid-20s, and they're looking to, how do I achieve what Jamie's maybe gone and done and had a little bit of a hiatus, and they've maybe been injured, missed a couple of years, haven't been able to compete, struggling for consistency, and then all of a sudden you've turned it around and you've got that success. Because I think a lot of athletes with bags of potential like you have and had as a junior, maybe they're never quite able to do that. So to be able to listen to someone right now that has just gone and had that success after a few years of really battling injuries and a bit of a challenging time, I think it's going to be so valuable, mate. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Sam. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great to see your performance at the British and chat to you beforehand. And what was really cool, Jamie, was that as me and Sam went around the arena, and we were chatting to the other guys, and this may be quite nice for you to know, they're all saying, watch Jamie, because he's looking great in the gym, but also, you know, he's looking quite consistent, and I think he's going to kind of pull this off, which is a great compliment to you, right? And I'm sure that's a place you've wanted to get yourself to for a long time. Just talk to me a little bit about that success, because it's been a great 6 months, mate. I mean, as the first year in an Olympic cycle goes, you couldn't have had a better start.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just coming off, just off the injury, my mindset was so focused on getting back, because that build up at the beginning of 2024, that Olympic year, and I was trying to go for it so much, and I was pushing myself to the limits, and then obviously the injury happened, and then whilst I was injured, I think just sort of looked around a lot of just what was around me and just what I missed and where it's got me in life. And this is solely the thing that I love. So as the year went on, the whole year, I think I just captivated that, if that's the right word, and just really looked at where it's got me and just the thing that I love. So just coming into this year, it was just really surreal and just brought me back to the main roots of why I did it, and it was just to enjoy the journey, and I love it. And yeah, to just go through that hard graft of doing the routines and put my arm up again in the training, I was really looking forward to doing it in the competition as well. So yeah, when I finally just got to get into that comp and just look around with my teammates again and just be here and be there, it was a great feeling. It's something I really missed.
Yeah, it's amazing, mate. I think sometimes when you have an injury and you miss out on something, and you really do have to answer some big questions, inside yourself. And it does, while you're just going through the motions, you're competing, everything's going well, or even if you're just competing but maybe you're not performing well, you don't really appreciate what it is to be able to be fit and healthy and to do the thing that you love. Absolutely. And I think somewhere along the way you do lose that a little bit. And we've just released that documentary with Fabian, and that's what he talks about a lot. You just focus on the routines and the medals and the achievements, and you forget why you started in the first place. And sometimes it takes an injury to go, I actually just love this. Wow. And set aside the results and competing for Great Britain and winning medals, set that aside. I just want to be able to do some gymnastics. Absolutely. Without pain. That'd be really nice, because I enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
When you did go to the English, Jamie, and you won the all-around title there at the English, did you surprise yourself afterwards? Or because I came into the gym in Nottingham that week after, and I went, "Oh, how was the English guys?" And a few of the lads went, "Jamie looked good, like really good." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," because I know that you've had a couple of years of like struggling, but the way that they, like, the first thing that came to their mind from the English was Jamie looked really good. I was like, "Wow, that's really interesting." And then going into the British, I think a lot of people probably were thinking, okay, he did well at the English, but he was on the first round. No one else was competing with him. What's he going to be like when everyone's there at the British with the lights and the pressure? Because one thing that happens, right, like when you're an athlete, if you go through a period of having some setbacks and maybe you have some performances that aren't so consistent, people start to talk, and there's almost this story that gets built around you. And I've had this in my career of, he's not consistent, he doesn't hit routines, he can't do it when the pressure's on. And however much you try not to listen to that, it's there.
It's still
you
there.
can hear it. Like you know that people are thinking it, and it's very hard to like shut that out and quiet out. And then going into the British, you went and smashed it again. So after that performance, was there a moment where you're like, I can't believe I've done that? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. There was a point where I was just like, whoa, I got that score. Like, I did all these routines. Yeah, it was like, wow. I don't know. Like, again, just doing the routines, just enjoying the fact I put my arm up again and doing it. I didn't think of anything else.
Right.
Just really having fun, like with the sport that I love. And then when it came to the score, I was like, oh, okay, is that a good score? Like, because it's a new code and everything. And everyone was like, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to beat that. I think it's a really good score and everything. And then, yeah, I think it was just like a really nice, like, warm feeling of like, because I love this thing and it's just paid off so nicely. It's just really important to like love what you do, and just the best result will come out of it. Even if you do good or bad, I think. But yeah, in this case, it came out really good. So yeah, I don't know.
What was it like then competing at the Europeans, Jamie? Because, was that your first senior major?
It was.
That you've done?
Yeah.
And, you had competed at the highest level as a junior. And so from the age of 18 up until 25, you're 25 now?
24 in September. Yeah.
Turning 25. That's 6 or 7 years of waiting to experience that again at the senior level. That's a long time. What was it like being at that highest level again? And what was your experience like in Germany at the Europeans?
It was quite surreal, but the preparation, everything was just so solid. We stuck to everything. We did all the routines we needed, prepared for everything. It was really solid. So at the same time, I was like, wow, this is tough. And obviously it gave us like a reassurance that like we're gonna do our job. It's gonna be all good. And then at the same time, I was like, I can't believe I'm here. Like, how am I? Like, what's going on? Like, I can't believe I'm here. Like, I'm in the European team. Like last year, I was like in a bandage and had an operation on my wrist and everything. It's like crazy. It was just went there and just it was really nerve-wracking. But again, just because we had that preparation so solid, I was just like, well, we're gonna do it anyway. So, but yeah, that's how important the preparation is. But yeah,
what was it like going in as the top all-arounder for Great Britain? GB were the favourites to win the team gold medal, but you're going in as the top all-around guy. So, as the top all-around guy, all the other countries are looking at you and going, okay, this is their best shot at all-around honours. What was that like, being that guy that people are looking to as a top all-around guy? Because that, I imagine, is probably the first time you've experienced that on an international level as a senior.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just like everything else, to be honest. I felt kind of the same going from in the team event and then doing the all-around. I think it was just the same sort of feeling. I felt a bit of, like, obviously a bit of pressure and everything. But because it was on me as well, like, I mean, obviously the team, I don't know, you feel like you're thinking about the team a lot. And then when you go into all around, like, obviously you just got yourself to think about. But, yeah, I felt a bit calmer going into the all around. But yeah, it was just the same thing, really.
Chatting to you now, Jamie, and listening to the way that you're talking about, the success that you had this year, you seem very calm, very relaxed, like you're taking everything in your stride. Has that always been the case over the past 4 or 5 years? Or has there been a time when, you've felt differently about gymnastics and the performance side of things, and you've felt that pressure more, and you've maybe been focusing on the results and the other things rather than coming back to, like, now it sounds like you just turned up to the Euros, were really confident with your preparation and just performed. But sometimes in a sport like ours, it's very difficult not to overthink everything that's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think when you look at your career, Jamie, like when I did the research ahead of this conversation that we had today, I think a lot of people from the outside will look at the success you've had this year and it will look like it's been overnight.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, Jamie Lewis, he's the best gymnast in Great Britain at the minute. But you're 25. There's been a big gap between 18 all the way to 25. Yeah. A lot has happened in that time. And if, even if you go on your Wikipedia page, 2019 to 2023, there's just nothing there.
Yeah.
There's like a real gap.
Yeah.
What happened in that gap that led to the point of now you're coming in this year and you've hit the ground running, competed really, really well? Was there a lot of growth? Was there a lot of learning? Was there adapting to senior gymnastics? Did that take time?
Yeah, everything really. I think just came a point where I was a bit lost in where I was in life, and like I don't know if that's really quite young to say that.
No, not at all, mate.
But I just was lost. Didn't have my values in check. I didn't have my morals and just like the things that are important to me. I was just really lost. It spurred a little bit from COVID. Sort of like doing my own thing in COVID, and then when it came back, everything started going back. My brain was so focused on, well, not focused. It was just on not doing gymnastics, doing whatever, getting back into gymnastics. I was excited, but then I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if it's because things went in order yet. We don't know what date a competition was coming to come and everything like that. So it just took me a while, and it took me into like a whirlwind. Well, I don't know what the word is.
That's right.
Yeah, of like what is going on. I can't time things, and it just left me to like just sort of think about myself a lot. And that took time to sort of like start piecing together little like important things of myself. Sort of had to build myself up quite a lot, and that took a lot of time. And then it really taught me like just to like love myself, and it's just you're very important to a lot of people, and it's a great journey. So just to come out the other side of it really a bit more. So yeah.
That's beautiful, mate. And I had a similar experience. Yeah. And I imagine, so you were a gymnast that was very, very talented as a youngster, right? And with somebody with those gifts comes a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation. And we'd had 10 years of winning the Junior Europeans as a team and always having the all-arounder that was the champion. And you go onto the team as a new young kid, at your first Junior European Championships, and then all that expectation grows for the next one. And sometimes I think what happens is you slowly rely on other people's opinions to build your confidence up, and then maybe you don't have it for yourself. And that certainly happened for me. It was what Sergey said. Okay, if Sergey thinks I'm doing well, then I'm confident now. And if all these people are talking about me and saying that's good, but inside there wasn't a lot of self-confidence, and I guess that's probably quite common with young kids that have a lot of talent and are told about it from a very young age, and all of a sudden you just start listening to this noise and maybe forget why you started. Tell me what it was like when you first got into gymnastics, Jamie, how you got into the sport, and maybe what you were like as a youngster.
I think I was just really hyperactive. Really hyperactive, just doing what knows, I don't know. And I think I must have seen like my neighbour. He was doing like these backflips in his garden, and I think I just saw him do it, and I was like, "What is he doing? Like, what is that? It's a backflip." And then I think we had this like little competition of like trying to do it ourselves. You can do it first and stuff. And then I think he showed me one day, took me to his house, and like he just did it in his living room. And I was like, okay, well, I want to do that. So I started like doing it in my back garden on the grass, just throwing my head, like going backwards. Started a bit off the axis, and then started going backwards more. And then I could finally do it. And then he said, "Oh, you should come to my gym club." this isn't the one that I go to now. It was like opposite, literally opposite the road. And I went there for a session, and I think I did like some handstands, did my little backflip, cheeky backflip, and then at the end of the session, this woman said, "We can't really teach you anything. You're gonna have to go to Woking Gymnastics Club," which is literally opposite. So we're like, okay, we'll give that a try. So we went there. I don't know if it was the next day or very recently after that. I went to a session, and I did the same thing. Did some handstands, did my backflips, and then they kept asking me like, "Have you done gymnastics before?" And I was like, "No." They're like, "Can I speak to your parents at the end?" And this was from my coach, Simon Elliott. He spoke to my mum, I think it was, and I think I was in the squad. I think the next day, and then that was.
How old were you at that time, Jimmy?
I was 7 years old
when you started. That's such a cool story of seeing somebody in your back garden and trying a backflip, which says a lot about your character. I don't think I'd have been brave enough to try a backflip just in my back garden before I went to gymnastics. When you got in, what do you think Simon saw in you, Jamie, when he first saw you in a gymnastics club? Like, what do you think maybe stood out to him, and where he thought, well, this kid is pretty good, let's put him into a group straight away?
I think it was just the handstands. I was doing walks. I was doing handstand walks on the floor, and I think it was just the sort of talent. I think just like showing through a bit. I was just like doing whatever. I don't know. I should ask him that actually. What like sort of stood out.
And what were your early experiences in Woking Gymnastics Club, Jamie? Because I remember growing up that they always, to me, the gymnasts that would come and train at GB squads when I was pretty young, when I first got onto the team, they were always very technical gymnasts. They were always really good on parallel bars, high bar, pommel horse. There were gymnasts like James Wyve, Richard Mockery, Grant Gardner, Matt Henley, all of these guys that Simon, who at the time, now thinking about it, must have been very, very young when he was coaching these guys. They always did very technical gymnastics and quite a high level of difficulty. What were your experiences like in Woking when you first got there? What can you remember about the club and the setup and the actual gym itself?
Well, it was different colour. It was white. Now it's painted blue. But all the names you just listed, I was obviously like a generation like below them, or maybe younger, and they were doing all their gymnastics. I remember vividly walking through the gym, and I think someone was on the rings. I don't know if it was one of the guys you just named off, but he was just doing something on the rings, and I was like, I want to do that. I said to myself in my head, I was like, I want to do that. But Grant mostly I trained with, because he was like the last one of them, them guys who, started to like go off and do their thing, next thing in life. He taught me a lot of just important things. I'm grateful for that. And
And when did you first start training with the GB team, Jamie, and then competing nationally and getting some success? Was that from a young age, or did that take a little bit of time?
The national team. I don't.
Was that like the under-12 squad or under-14 squad? Can you remember when you first started being part of that team?
Actually, can't remember.
And was your first national coach? Was Sergey your first national coach?
Sergey was the first national coach. Of junior squad. Yeah.
And obviously, for people listening, you competed at the Junior Europeans in 2016. 16. And were you on the GB team for a few years in the build-up to that?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
I think I was like, I don't know what year it was.
So like starting secondary school, that kind of an age?
Yeah, that would be it.
And what did you remember about joining like the GB squad and then going to Lilleshall for training camps and the talent of everybody around? And then at that time, you would have been in the gym with probably my generation training, and the seniors and the juniors and seniors would train together quite a lot. Yeah. What can you remember about that environment and how that was maybe different to the club gym back at Woking at that time? Did it feel like a step up when you would go to Lilleshall and train with the GB guys?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot more of what you were doing in the gym going on over there. Felt quite intimidated by you guys, just in terms of like just the stuff we're doing. Like, we got to live up to this and stuff. Like, we want to do this. Like, whoa! I remember just sitting there on the mat, like just being like, just watching you guys on high bar or something, just being like, oh, he's gonna do that now. He's gonna do that. It was camps are like really good, and just building up that friendship and working hard together and bouncing off each other. It's really good. And then going back home did seem sort of like a sort of like a rest little period, but it's a training camp, so
Yeah.
it's obviously going to be really tough. But yeah.
And when did you get an idea, Jamie, that you were maybe going to be part of that junior European team in 2016? Because in that team would have been Johnny,
Johnny,
Joe,
myself,
who else would it, yeah, Danelle,
Danelle was born.
Josh Nathan in that
Joshua
team?
Nathan was in the team.
So when did you get an idea that maybe I'm going to be part of this team? Because you were very young at that point, right?
Yeah.
Can you remember how old you were when you did that first
16, so I think I was 15.
15, 16. So you just started. And we spoke about that pressure of winning it again and again and again. Could you feel that pressure when you were in that environment competing? That was in Switzerland, right?
Switzerland.
So it was an Olympic year as well. And it's always a little bit bigger, I think, in an Olympic year because the senior guys are getting ready to compete at the Olympic Games. What was your experience like competing at that Junior European Championships? And who was the national coach at that time?
It was Sergey.
It was Sergey. And who were the coaches on the floor? Was
I think
it Sergey?
Lee Walls and who else was there? Pete,
maybe?
Think, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think just that same sort of like in awe, like, whoa, this is happening, put up all the preparation, like, here we go, this is it, like, try and do your best for the team and for yourself. And that was really it, I think, just going into that. I think it's just like the same sort of thing each time when you go into something new, or the same thing and the event's quite like the same sort of like how big it is. Yeah, I think it was just that sort of feeling.
And what was your relationship like with your coach, Simon? We obviously mentioned that you met Simon when you first went into Woking, literally your first session. You've stayed with him throughout the whole of your career. How has that relationship evolved? You know, when you think back to those times in 2016, Simon at that point, I'd imagine, hadn't really had anyone that had competed at that level. He'd had guys that competed at the Commonwealth Games for their own nation. So I think Grant represented Wales.
Yeah, he did.
What was that like? Can you remember? Was it like an experience where you were both learning as you go on the job and you're trying to figure this thing out and you've got that pressure?
Yeah, definitely. Myself and Simon, we've worked together for a long time, and yeah, I think he always says that he knows me more than I know myself, and yeah, he's helped me a lot grow into the person I am today, really, and he's never really stopped believing in me, even when I have my hard times. He's always given his best advice, and he's always been very open and honest with me, and yeah, I really do appreciate everything he's done for me.
How great was it for him, Jamie, to see that success you've had this year and then almost get that nod, you know, because I imagine it's pretty hard as a coach to have a kid that everybody looks to and goes, this guy's the next superstar and he's got all this talent, and he's, you know, that Junior Europeans that happened 2 years later, and we'll talk about that. You finished second all around, is that right?
Yeah.
You won gold on floor and you got multiple medals.
Yeah.
And so there's big expectations and everyone's expecting you to go on and do really well as a senior. And I imagine it's pretty hard as a coach if that gymnast doesn't go on to get that success straight away. He's probably feeling that's my responsibility. Did you see that arc of growth from Simon as well over that period? And were there challenging times in the gym where you were both like, you're there together, nobody sees it, it's just you and Simon in the gym on the pommel horse?
Yeah, he definitely did that transition from junior and then going into senior. That was quite tough, because I think I just sort of wanted to coast where I was, take little steps, I think. But, you know, I remember I heard you saying, like, on one video, saying, like, when you're, like, 19 or whatever, 18, 19, you think this is going to last forever, or something like that. And I was like, wow, yeah, true. So I thought it was, like, at that point, I was like, this is going to, I can take my time. It's okay. It's going to last forever. Yeah, but then it goes just like that. But, yeah, I remember Simon sort of just being a bit more, like, trying to, like, push me a little bit more. And then there was like times like I'd just feel about like, oh no, like, oh, I don't need to do that, like, oh no. Like that's when we start these little tough little sessions, I think, where I'll just be going against it all and not really thinking about the future of my gymnastics. And yeah, we would have those moments, and yeah, and then through time I think it's proven, obviously through my work, that, you know, these things that he's tried to teach me are very important, and that's something I'm now trying to practice, and I'm still getting there with it. So yeah,
I think it's amazing, Jamie, that you obviously spoke of that period in COVID where there were times where you didn't feel like you had a goal, or you were struggling for motivation, wasn't maybe sure where you were going. One thing I would say is, from knowing Simon and speaking to him, he's like your biggest cheerleader. Like, he's 100% like believes in you. And I think at times that can be quite overwhelming when you're the athlete. Yeah. And I'd say Sergey was the same for me, right? Like, sometimes I was like, why do you believe in me so much? Like, how do you have that much confidence in me? Like, I don't in myself. And sometimes that can feel pressure sometimes from your coach. But I did have a chat with him, and we've jumped around a little bit today, but at the start of the year, I saw him in January at a training camp. I said, oh, how's Jamie? And he was like, he's doing really well. It's like training really, really well. And I was like, I remember saying to him, I was like, oh, how old's Jamie this year? And he was like, oh, 25. And I was like, tell him that's still young. If someone had told me at 25 that 25 was still young, I think it would have really helped the way I'd maybe strategically planned the next few years of my career. And I said, you should look for somebody that's maybe had a similar career to Jamie and has gone through a period where they've maybe not made the senior team, or they'd struggled to like replicate the success they had as a junior. Try and find them and then ask them how they did it and like what they experienced. So I don't know whether he did or not, but it seemed like you were on the right track anyway. That second Junior Europeans, Jamie, that you go to, and you're now not the youngest member of the team, you're now one of the older members of the team, and there is that expectation for you to go and have that success in the all-around. What was it like for you and your teammates at that competition? Because that was the first Junior Europeans where we'd not won gold as a team, and I remember that the expectation was we just always win gold because we'd done it for 10 years. What was that like, that competition, in terms of your own experience of competing? Because you did very well, but also maybe what did it feel like to win a silver, and was there like a feeling of disappointment after that?
Yeah, definitely. I think I didn't know that we won back to back. Actually, I think we did. I think we did know that. But I think as we just got to the competition and then went around, I think the nerves just got to us. I think, especially myself, because we started on floor and then it was all going really smoothly. P-bar was a bit shaky, and then I remember obviously I fell on high bar, and I just it just got to me, I think. And then there was like another round to go through. So we went back to the hotel, and I got a message from Barry Colley, just saying, "Oh, European champion, well done, everything." And then obviously just as we all had to line up for the presentation and stuff, because the last results were coming through, we went in and we saw the scoreboards, and then it was just like, oh no. So at that point I did feel quite disappointed in myself, and everything. It was just on high bar and everything. I remember when I came off of the high bar, I said to Simon, I was like, I'm so sorry. And he was like, don't apologise, it's okay. And I think that helped a lot. I think stuff like that, like high bar, because I was so tentative, especially on a Kachev. For me, that's quite small now. So I think that was where my weakness was, and that's where I sort of built up a lot on that. I've still got P-bar to go at the moment. So, but yeah, if that helps answer the question.
Yeah, and I did a little bit of research before this, Jamie. I'm going to use my notepad for this, so I remember.
No.
So you have 6 Junior European medals, which puts you in an incredible list of athletes. Niall Wilson and Johnny Moran have 7. You have 6. You go down, you've got Dan Keatons, Bryn Bevan, Joe Fraser on 5. You've got Frank Baines, myself, Dan Purvis on 4. It goes. The list is unbelievable, that list. So to sit third at the third most amount of Junior European medals ever is an incredible achievement, mate. Like when I started to see the success you were having this year, I'd done some research for the British, and I'd seen that, and I was like, I wonder if anyone's won more than Jamie. And not a lot of people knew that. And I think in sport it moves so fast, people forget very quickly, don't they? But you obviously don't yourself. You know what you've done and achieved, and the talent and the potential that you've got, and you and your coach. But it's hard when the world can't see that. And I think sometimes that's the frustration that, you know, I'm injured, I'm not healthy, I know what I'm capable of, but I can't show you. Like, I need to, this is what I want to do. And there's a lot of frustration in that. Tell me what it was like then after that competition. You know, you spoke a little bit of taking your foot off the gas. When you look back now at COVID, how detrimental do you think that was for your career at that point, almost having the brakes put on just as you went senior? because you did pretty well in 2019 and you won an all-around bronze medal at the British Championships.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's right, Jamie?
Bronze medal, yeah, I did.
Yeah,
for my
so that's
senior.
first year senior, bronze medal all around. So everything's kind of going the way it should be. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden the Olympic year comes around, COVID, the brakes are on. Was that like a big speed bump that didn't help your career at that time? Going into lockdown and things being closed down.
Yeah,
did it just
definitely.
kind of slow everything down? And...
It did. I think it helped expand a lot on my creativity, because obviously I was by myself, well, with my brother and sister, and yeah, I think it did help some like creative sort of thought processes. But yeah, then just getting back into it, I don't know, it didn't feel right. I think just didn't feel like going anywhere. It didn't feel like I was going anywhere, and it just made me question a lot of things. What was actually happening?
What were those big questions you were asking yourself around that time, Jamie? You know, you spoke about feeling a bit lost, but like, what was it? Because that is quite young. What are you at that age? Like 20 maybe?
19, 20,
19, 20, and you're maybe thinking about like, is this what I want to do? Why am I doing it? And do you think that maybe comes from that external pressure when you were growing up of a lot of other people's expectations? Maybe you lost, why am I doing this? You know?
I think it was just living up to some sort of expectation. Like, I knew that I was coming up. I knew that like sort of my name was up there. So I was just like, whoa, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And I've kind of been like that before when I was younger, like getting asked like, oh, you want to be in the team, don't you? Or like, you're going to do this, don't you, Jamie? And I used to just be like, oh, like just not really say anything. Because I used to be quite scared to like sort of like step up and be like, yeah, that's me, it's going to be me. So when it came to COVID and like, I was really motivated, and I was doing stuff, but then I just felt, at the same time, I was like, okay, what's going on here? I think I'm actually up next with being like one of the best and stuff and challenging, and I think I kind of wasn't prepared to do that hard bit of graft as well.
Was it like a fear? Was it like a fear thing?
I think I was just worried that I was going to be like, I know I'm going to be up there.
Right.
It was like
and you're
that.
just scared of that?
Yeah, so we came back and we did a trial. I think it was the first trial or competition, and I think I won it. And then everyone was like, oh, well done, Jamie. Good, well done. Everyone's like, and like from loads of people that I've looked up to as well. So it was like really weird, I think, just like having that, because I've always been the one like looking at people. So I was like sort of up there now. So it was like, as soon as my name's on the radar now, it's like, I just felt very like, oh no, like.
Where do you think that fear comes from, Jamie? Like, is it the fear that all of a sudden all this pressure is going to be back on my shoulders like it was a few years ago? Or is it the fear of, not necessarily the fear of failure, but it's, I had a really interesting conversation with my brother once. And it reminded me of that when you spoke about the COVID time. And I remember saying to him, I was like, why don't you fully commit? Because my brother at the time was trying to, he had aspirations to play at the highest level, playing football. He's a great player, my brother. And at the time, he was probably similar age to you are now, maybe mid-20s. We were living together, maybe a little bit younger, maybe 23, 24. And I remember having a conversation with him and saying, why don't you fully commit? Like, give it everything. And he said, because if I give it everything and it doesn't work, that's going to hurt a lot. And I don't want to take that risk. And I was like, whoa, that's like that. It was a big thing that he said. But, you know, like my brother's quite like friendly, chatty, like jokey guy. But he said something like so matter of fact and straight. And I could tell it was real. I was like, whoa, that's really interesting. And after that, I started to see that in other people a lot. They were scared to fully like go for it. And I've done it myself. I was guilty of this as well. Like, I'm not ready to fully commit again yet. I'm going to go out with my friends and party a little bit and try and be like a normal person, not just get back onto 6 hours, 6 days a week, nutrition, recovery, everything. Because that fear of doing that and then getting hurt is quite scary. Does that resonate a little bit?
Yeah, that definitely does. Yeah, it is that. I think it's just, thinking I'm not gonna make it, but I feel like as well. I know I could make it. I know I can do it. If that's like overly like delusional or whatever, like, because I think you need to do that. Mm-hmm. I just knew in my ability. Like I don't know. I think it's just a little bit of like, I don't want to come across too arrogant.
Okay, yeah.
Or cocky or whatever. But I actually believe like I definitely can.
Do you think there's an element of when you're a very successful junior athlete and you move to the seniors, you realise, there are like, you can get away with a lot as a junior athlete in terms of talent and potential that you can't get away with as a senior, because everybody works at 100%. So you just have to be doing everything at the top level. Like, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
I've seen
I
a
think
lot
so.
of junior athletes that they're very, very talented, and they can come in a gym and they'll do casinas or they'll do triple twists on vault, and you're like, oh my God, this guy looks like the best gymnast in the world. And they get away with still getting great results as a junior, but when you're a senior, like, you can't get away with anything if you're not training and putting in the work
Yeah.
or doing the conditioning or doing that.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a mistake.
Absolutely.
And when you make a mistake or you're not on the team, like, you're gone. Like,
Yeah.
but as a junior, you can still kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I did have that.
And did you have to? Can you remember like a point at which you learnt that, and you were like, okay, I'm gonna have to now fully commit and fully put the work in if I want to get to where these guys above me are.
Yeah, I think it happened during COVID as well.
Yeah.
My shoulder went, so I'm like fully fit. I feel really fit. Like, yeah, getting back into it, I was like recording a lot of things, and I felt really good. And like, because we've obviously had like a little bit of a break, and obviously like 19, 20, you're gonna start to like, you're gonna feel something. Because like most of the time, I just like normally with like niggles or anything like that, never had anything. So obviously like going into coming out of COVID a little bit, even though it lasted a little bit longer than everyone thought. But yeah, when everyone could get into the gym, I remember like just being on the rings, and I did like a Yonason or Yamwaki or something, and then my shoulder went like in the impingement, and I was like, oh no, what's that? It was terrible. I was in agony. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. Went to the gym with my dad the same day, and then like gave it a rest, and then the next morning it got a bit better. And I was like, oh, but it's still there. It's still there. And then like weeks went by, I was like, it's still there. It's like, yeah, it's gotten better, but it's still there. So that's when I got into like the physio side of like, oh, what is this? What is this? And then like everyone said like, oh, it's an impingement. I was like, oh yeah, I've got that. Oh, I've got that as well. Yeah. This. It's like, oh, everyone's got this. Okay, here we go. So I have to do these exercises. So make sure that my body is ready to do like the things later on, because if I don't, it's gonna hurt so much more. And then that was the first like little bit where I was like, right, okay, this is just a little bit, like this is on the shoulder, so like, you know, Lord knows if anyone, like what everyone else is doing, like, and I'm getting it now. There's things that I do need to start picking up now, and I think it's more fun though, because it's like you occupy your brain a lot more, I think. So you're making sure when you're doing all these things, and then when it's time to execute, you're like, right, I've done everything. And it's just like, I think it's just a bit more fun when you're doing that. It's like, right, okay, I've got to do this, so make sure I can do that. And you're setting yourself up like, right, because I've done this, I've got to do this now, let's go. So I don't know, it's like, it's when my brain's working a little bit.
Are you someone that's easily distracted, Jamie?
I am.
Yeah, I can see you moving around in your chair like crazy.
I'm trying
which
to
you
stay
remind
very
me
calm.
of like myself. I do the same. I'm a lot better now. I can sit pretty still.
Yes.
But if I'm left for too long, I'm started fidgeting. Have you always been like that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've always been very curious of a lot of things, like in depth of like reasons why. What is something like, you know, just like a deep thinker sometimes, or just if I like, I always want to know why, like, of something. So very like fidgety, like trying to work something out a lot. So I think that's just like.
Does that
how I
make
am.
gymnastics challenging at times?
Not really. In terms of like the hyperactiveness, not really, because like I had more agility. Getting distracted with like friends and stuff talking. Yes, it's been challenging, but it's also helped me a lot because it's like made me look into like the biomechanics and like stuff of why I can't do a skill, or like what is not working, what is working, and I think that's helped me a lot.
Does it
like,
impact your performance as well, like the mental side of things and preparing for competitions? And
again, I think it's I think it's like a nice challenge, because I've always dwelled on, like, if I didn't do well on an apparatus, I've always dwelled on it. So yeah, thinking about the next thing has been quite hard. But then always my coach has told me like, all right, next thing, all right, like don't worry about it, like next thing. Or if I'm dwelling on it, he'll say like, he'll use that and be like, right, okay, use this frustration and then take it on to the next thing. So I think he can see that obviously a lot, so he tries to guide me on that sort of thing as well.
And that's something you did really well at the Europeans, right? In the all-around final.
Yeah.
You fall on your first tumble.
Yeah, first
And then
tumble.
at that moment, you're thinking, okay, people are expecting me to just crumble, but you didn't. You switched it back on fast.
Yeah.
Was that something that you wouldn't have been maybe able to do 3 or 4 years earlier? You've learned to be able to, in that situation, calm down, right, focus on my performance, the next routine, the next skill?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think maybe 3 years ago I couldn't. I think 3 years ago. So I think because there was a point where when I think I was winning the British Championships. I think 4 times. I think I won it 4 times in a row, and then I think on the 5th one, I sort of was like, oh, I've got to win it again. Sort of like not in a bad way. It's like I think it's that expectation thing again. So I sort of didn't really I didn't really give it 100% in my brain. Because if I actually believe it, things will connect. It's like kind of weird because when I fell on that first tumble, like, because I wanted to do so well and everything, I remember like I heard like a shouting, and I wasn't sure if it was Barry, but yeah, I just heard like a shouting, like it must have been someone else, but I don't know. My brain was like, it was almost like it was like a proper loud like rah, and it was like sort of mirrored inside me, that sort of thing. So I was like, come on then, like I don't know, it might have been someone else or something, but yeah, then it helped me get through the rest of the competition as well. So I was like, I don't care anymore, not in a bad way, but just like I don't care, I'm gonna just do my best now. So yeah.
What's it like, Jamie, watching all of those major championships that take place that you miss out on, that you want to be at, and how does that feeling develop over time the more times you watch the team go out and compete at Euros or compete at Worlds or compete at an Olympics? You know, once that happens the first time and you feel like, I want to be on that team, how does that feeling develop over time? Because I've been in that spot when I've watched guys go and compete and I'm like, I wanted to be there, and like I want to be part of that team. And it's not like I want to be there instead of you, it's just that I want to be in that, experiencing that. And as that happens again and again, I would feel more numb to it, and I wouldn't feel so much of an emotional response to it the more and more times that happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Did you have that experience?
Yeah, watching everyone go off and do like worlds and stuff, I was very like, well, they're there, like they're there and I'm not. So I'm just like watching it, just thinking like, this is like top stuff. Obviously that's why they got in the team and they're there, but like I know I can do it, so why am I not doing it? Like, what am I waiting for? And I think I've always just done that. I think, yeah, it's kind of weird, because I think when you see someone go get something, and then you think to yourself sometimes like, yeah, I can do that then as well. So I think, I don't know, in a way it was like seeing other people do it that you know and close to, and then you think like, oh, okay, I can go do that now. But yeah, it was tough at sometimes, like just sitting there and being like, oh, like I should be there, or like if I really worked hard, I could have done it. I don't know, like. But then when it's all done, it's like, oh, it's done now. Yeah, and I wasn't a part of that, so yeah.
It seems like 2023 was a year where you started to put things together a little bit again, and you got a bit of success, won some medals at the British, went to a few World Cups, and then you get that injury in 2024.
2024, yeah.
What was that injury for people listening, Jamie, that maybe been listening and they weren't sure what that injury was, and how did that impact your gymnastics and your training?
Because it was coming to Olympic year, again, I was like really pushing myself. And then when I had my accident on my wrist, it like, I was really pushing for this, and then as soon as it happened, it was just like, what? I can't believe this is happening.
How did you do it, your wrist, Jamie?
I was using someone else's high bar guards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a size up from me, and he's a bit heavier as well. So he has like the leather was like a bit more stretched.
Okay. Why were you using his guards?
Because I did. Why was I using his guards? I think. Why was I using his guards? I think mine were breaking.
Okay.
And then I got, you got the Hyper Protect ones, and then you got the normal brown ones. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna use the Hyper Protect ones. So I used them, and then I felt like I was slipping on the bar. So I was like, oh, I don't like these. I'm slipping on the bar. And then my friend he was like, oh, do you want to use mine? I got new ones. Like, I was like, what size are they? And it was like 3. Normally I have a 2, so they're size up. So I was like, all right then. So I started using them. Did a hyper routine. Did several hyper routines. It was like, yeah, it was all good. Didn't think anything of it. And then I obviously went to the Welsh championships for the podium, and then I was like, had it all planned out. I was proper trying to put things together, like you said. I was like, okay, right, I'm going to start on, because we start on vault. I'm going to start on P-bar at the podium, finish on vault, and then the next day, competition, we'll start vault. So I was thinking like that. So I started P-bars, all good, it was really good. And then I got to high bar, and then, yeah, I was just like, I don't know. We did the tension and everything, and I was ready to go. So I jumped up on the bar, did my little squat half, went for the action, like a Kovac action. And then obviously, when you do a Kovac action, you got to go really fast, like on some of them, depending on what you're doing. But yeah, I was going really fast just to fill out the bar. And then, so I did the scoop over, and then I bounced on top. And then the only thing I can describe it was, when you're on a roller coaster and like, you have the click. I don't know if you like roller coasters. Yeah, you have the click, like, so you're secure. I bounced on top of the bar, and my right guard caught up to itself. What's it called?
Just wrapped.
Yeah, what's it called? It's called something.
Locked.
Grip lock.
Yeah.
It's called grip lock. Yeah, so like obviously it locked inside itself. Obviously I'm going at momentum speed as well. So yeah, I bounced on top and it was just like a click. Wasn't going anywhere. So my feet dropped because my body's like still going in the motion of doing a Kovac action, going that fast. And then yeah, just start going round, and then obviously my left hand's free, but my right hand just starts raveling. And then like I literally remember looking at a specific point. I think it was in the audience or something. And I remember like there's like that sort of part where you sort of come out of your body a little bit, and like it's like a screen, like what you're looking at is a screen. And it was like I just remember thinking like, this is happening right now. Like this is actually happening right now. Like why me? This is actually happening. Why? And then yeah, everyone was helping me. They got a block in, lifted me up from the bar, so like it unravels a little bit. I'm prying my fingers out of the guard holes. There was like cuts all on my finger because it got wrapped in so much that the bar was scraping on my fingers. And then I was just like sitting on the block, people trying to calm me down. People asking me like, oh, it's okay, just like calm down, like what'd you feel? And I couldn't answer because I was just in pure pain. And then I got asked, like, do you want to stay here or do you want to, like, go off? And I was like, yeah, like, just take me off, because I didn't want to be, like, that sort of person, just like, oh. So I was like, yeah, get me off. And I was pain all up my arm. It was absolutely, like, excruciating. And then I remember my dad, as I came over to the audience, I took my guard off, and I was like, just a bit of blood just, like, dripping from my fingers. I remember just seeing everyone start walking away, because I think they assumed that I broke my arm or my hand, because I've heard stories that people have done that. But, yeah, I remember my dad... he came over to me because he just went out for fresh air. He came over, and I just remember giving him a look. I was throwing my guard on the floor, and I was just like shaking my head, looking at him like, this is not good. This is not good. And I went into the medical room. I went all really white and everything, and like was on painkillers and stuff. Just pain constantly in my arm. Couldn't really speak. I was like slurring my words because like all my energy was focusing on like just not feeling this pain. And yeah, everyone came in and was just like, I'm so sorry, man, like, speedy recovery and everything. And yeah, I went to hospital that night. And then, yeah, that was the start of my 2024. Yeah.
Wow. And what was the injury that you did? So
I think I just fully stretched the ligaments, especially the one that's connected to my index finger.
Okay.
And when they did the surgery, I think they just had to make a new tunnel for my tendon to run through because I fully stretched it out.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was the recovery like on that, Jamie? Like, was it a long time?
It was, I think, green light from February, and then the green light was, I think, maybe November.
Okay, wow.
The end of October,
really?
Going into November. Yeah. So, yeah, obviously my body, I remember saying to my girlfriend, I was like, this is like, my body's so fit. And I've just had this. It was like the first night, second night maybe. I remember seeing the calluses on my hands. I've been working up to this. It's like one of the best like preparations I've had. And I was just saying to her like, this is like, I'm really fit right now, but my body's gonna start weighing. Like, I can't keep this up. Like, and I'm just saying it to myself. I don't know why. I just like, it's like I'm gonna start losing these calluses. I'm not gonna be like this, like, because I can't do my gym obviously. And it's gonna like, yeah, I'm just gonna start going back to normal. And I think that was the start of it, where I put a pin, sort of like check mark of like where I was then And I think that's where I carried it on all the way through. And then obviously in the gym, all the kids and everything, like all the people that I work with and everything, they were learning new stuff, doing all these things. I remember like running down the vault. Obviously I couldn't put my hands on the actual vault, but I was running down the vault, jumping over it and everything. And my coach was telling me like, it seems like you like want to do gymnastics even more, like you miss it even more. Didn't say anything. I was just like, yeah, I'm just trying to keep fit, you know. And I think that was like me first admitting that like I really love the sport, and it's been quite, I think, hard beforehand admitting that and being like I love this sport. This is like, you know, I've always been quite a bit nonchalant about it. Just like, you know, it's all right.
Do you think that goes back to like the fear of being hurt? Because if you're like, it's just what it is. Like I don't care that much. Like, you know, it's easier then to not feel the pain of like the rejection if you're not selected for things. And does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I think it's a bit of that.
I fully forgot what you said.
You know you know what we spoke about? That's brilliant. You know what we spoke about before, Jamie, when we were talking about, you know, you just said like before I'd be very nonchalant about it and I wouldn't really take it that seriously. Do you think that previously was because you were, right, I don't want to feel the rejection or the pain, and if I don't take this seriously and it's all right, I don't care, like,
I don't care.
It doesn't hurt you that much. Yeah, it's more of that. What did you change then, Jamie, like this time around when you did have that injury in February 2024? And you know, you put that marker and that checkpoint down and you get back and you get the green light in November. What were the things that you changed that you look back on now and go, okay, that's why I was successful at the start of this year?
I think just realizing what we're doing, like all the stuff, the flips and the twists and stuff that we do in the apparatuses that we're doing on. I think just looking around and then seeing the progression, and like I could see, I think it's like the insights of like people when they might feel down, they're going through something rough. So I'm just saying to them like, oh, look at me, like I've got to build all this back up again. So just appreciate that, you know, you're just okay. You might be having like a bad session on the high bar or something. But I just like would compare it like that, and yeah, I think that spurred into like being like, oh, I should enjoy that, getting back up there and doing everything. And there was this kid, his name is Joe, in the gym, and he actually got me this bracelet that says champ on it this year, which is really lovely. He broke his arm as well during that same time when I did my wrist. So we just was on the trampoline, just doing our awareness, spatial awareness and stuff, and like, you know, he was asking me questions and stuff, and yeah, he looked up to me quite a lot, and I was just trying to help him out in that sort of way as well, and just how we were both in the same sort of boat, and like, oh, we're gonna do this, like it's all good. And yeah, it was really special as well. And yeah, he had his times in the gym as well where he was crying, couldn't do something on pommel or something, and I was really trying to help him. He'll go home early and everything, and yeah, something special in that moment. I think really like came to it, and just the hardship that people go through, and I just sort of witnessed that and tried to like help them through my sort of the way I was then, and just be like, it's okay, like look
being
at me,
like a living example of like, oh no, you can still keep going, like
you still going, it's all good, like look at me, I got to do this again, how do you think I feel? And then just having that again, building that up, and then boom, like executing.
It's very remarkable, mate, that this year you've had, you know, traditionally speaking, if you would say to me in the past, what apparatus is Jamie's weakness, I'd probably look at high bar, and then you have that injury on the high bar. And you talk about like the falling off the high bar at the Junior Europeans in 2018. And then you come round and you win the British on high bar this year. And like a new gymnast doing like multiple release and catches. How has that happened? And like what have you learned about that apparatus in particular? Because it's a very special apparatus, like the high bar, right? It's not for everybody. There's a lot of fear and it's dangerous, and you do have to let go and catch it again. Whereas if you're competing on rings, you can't fall off. Like, so there's a lot of jeopardy and like high risk. How have you managed to like do a 180 on that, Jamie, and now, you know, be up there competing really, really well on high bar?
I think when I was younger, I used to be so scared of high bar, really scared, hated it, and then until I started to do certain things, I was like, oh, like, I feel like, I don't know, when I watched bar when I was younger, people did all these big things and stuff. I thought it was amazing. I was like, you have to be so courageous for that. And then as soon as I started doing them things, I was like, oh, okay, I'm one of those people, let's go. Like, but I was still quite scared of it. And then that was just like doing the catch-up stuff. And then I think going into like the Kovac stuff, I used to always change it, be a bit too smart with changing the action, didn't catch it and everything. and then realizing like you're gonna have to put it on. So I used to watch like Kohei Uchimura, watching his actions and the way he does things, and like I've literally got screenshots on my phone of like how close he is to the bar. Like his face is literally like inches away from the bar. Just like that importance of like doing that, and I think it just comes with like such like courage. Like I don't care, like I'm gonna put it on the bar. I'm gonna be fearless, and that's what my coach always says. This is about being like just be courageous, like try and be courageous and everything. And then because I started to learn like to like let it fly, do all these things, I was like, I'm understanding it now. This is actually really good. And that came with a lot of graft, like with the routines, doing it in the routine, because it's very different. I think obviously doing it by yourself, doing skills before it, and then doing the release and catch and everything, finish off on your dismount. And I was doing that, and I was like, okay, I think I'm changing all these things, and like just trying to understand it, because I've always been scared of it. So there was just a point where I was like, you know what, I don't care if I hit my head on the bar, I'm gonna go for it. And yeah, that's how I think. I think I just got into it then. I think I was gonna say something else after that, but yeah.
It's great, mate. That was a great description. And I like that you've got those screenshots of Kohei being that close to the bar. And it is an apparatus where you can't hold back.
No.
You can't. You have to play to win.
Mm.
If you play to not lose, if you play not to lose or to try and just stay on, you're done. It ain't gonna work.
You have to let it go. You have to
You've
go.
got to go for it 100%.
Let it go.
That's why it's
come back to it.
That's why it's so exciting for people to watch high bar. You know, it's like, and sometimes you can end up with a situation like the high bar final in Paris where everyone falls off.
Hell yeah!
But sometimes it can be just the best event ever to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I've loved watching that progression from you this year. And when I think about your gymnastics, Jamie, you are such a well balanced all arounder now. It's really exciting what the future's going to hold for you. What are your plans for the rest of this year? You know, we're at a halfway point. We're in the middle of 2025. What are your plans for the rest of this year? The World Championships, from what I understand, is a little bit different, right? And it's individual. So how are you kind of playing that with Simon? Like, what's the strategy and what are your hopes as you go into the rest of this Olympic cycle?
I think just getting down like the whole program of just keeping my body fit and everything, because as I've come back from my wrist injury, my Achilles started having like twinges, and I've had problems with that before, but I never maintained it. So I think with the upper body stuff, I've like got down in terms of like keeping fit and everything. It's just my lower body now, because I've missed floor so much and it's affected my floor. So I think when I get past that, I'm gonna have a full like sort of body run through of like how to keep things ticking along.
Okay.
And it's just doing that. I think at the moment that I'm like finally I need like a little bit of getting that on lock. Just tweaking that a little bit, and then I think getting my floor back up, learning a little bit more on vault, because I'm trying to like understand vault a little bit more. And I've talked to so many people about what they think about vault, and just adding those 2 or 3 skills or replacing something just up in the start score or something on a few things. And I think that's it. Just, like I said, just keeping the body fit, trying to get through a system to keep everything staying together, and then just going for the hard graft in the gym, because the stuff you do outside, you don't really want to waste it when you go back in the gym and then start adding these things in. So I think that's it for the rest of this year. Obviously, trying to go for World Championships. I'm going to have to reduce my floor, potentially, because of my Achilles at the moment. It's really hard you need to do the routines, but then you need to do the recovery stuff. And obviously it's hard to do both. It needs rest. So that's something I'm missing as well, my floor. I really miss floor. I love doing floor. I think when I start getting that back, it's gonna be, I think that's gonna change a lot, because I love the running, love the endurance, I love that feeling of like, I can't do any more, like pushing myself, and I've definitely missed that, because I think I've done it all on the upper body part. It's now the legs and everything, the endurance and stuff, and I just miss that. And I think I've got a lot of that to prove to myself, and when I get everything back, I'm gonna do a lot of that. So that's it really.
Do you think this new code, Jamie, 8 skills, has like helped you a lot? Has benefited you a lot, because you trained your whole life on 10? Well, not your whole life, but for a long time you trained on 10. Now you dropped to 8. Do you feel like that's part of maybe a piece of the puzzle that's helped you like this year be so successful that quick? That maybe some of the juniors coming through now, they've been used to 8, and so it's just normal. But you've done 10.
So to drop to 8, it's like, oh, it's only 8.
Yeah.
Like, I've been doing 10.
Yeah.
Particularly on a piece like pommel horse where you are very, very good and have a high difficulty. I imagine for you to do 8 skills instead of 10 is a lot easier, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't think of it as any different, too much different, really, because I probably would count like an A or a B or something.
Okay.
But now it's like, because now it has dropped to 8. It's like, what's gonna really show the hard part in the routine, because now you've got 2 skills less to show your sort of like key point in the routine. I think there's always that when you do on the apparatus, whether it's like a Busnari or like a Bella and P-bar or like a Casino and High Bar. Like there's that main thing. I think it has benefited me quite a lot. It's helped me, just especially with the execution as well. Just showing it, like if it's going to be shorter, obviously it's important to show the execution just as much as the start value.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm quite an execution sort of person. I like to go for a lot of neatness and stuff. I don't know. A lot of people can think different, like where they prefer the start score to be big, quickly, and get off the apparatus. Or do you want it to be really neat and everything flow really nicely? Okay, it's short, but I think that holds a lot of tension still if it's that neat as well. So I don't know. But yeah, I think it's helped me a lot.
How do you look at pommels now, Jamie? Because, this cycle is the first cycle that we're not going to have Lewis, Dan Keatons or Max taking a pommel spot in the team. So for the past, since 2008, there's always been a pommel specialist on a team. And 2 of those guys were great all-rounders as well, and Lewis could do other apparatus. But it was almost a lock that one of them is going to be on the team doing pommels, and everybody else is going to cover. That pommel spot, it's so integral to the success of Great Britain, right, pommel horse. And maybe we've not had that for the last few years. You take Max out, other teams have improved on that apparatus. I'm thinking America straight away, and they're one of our big competitors. Do you look at that spot and go, that could be me? I could be the pommel guy, given that you are very, very good on that apparatus and that spot is somewhat open? Or are you more focused just on all around and that's where I'm putting all my energy?
I think mainly, on pommel, I would like to focus on, because I have done competitions before where I've just focused on pommel. Not just focus, I've done all around, and my pommel's done well, but then everything else hasn't been the best. And I got told once, like, if you just thought of everything like pommel, you would be amazing. So I was like, whoa, okay. So if I start on pommel, think about my pommel, then I think everything else would be really good. But yeah, there's a lot of people coming through as well who are really good on pommel that I can name. So that also like gives me a sort of like incentive to sort of give my own little mix with my routine, because I feel like I'm making something at the moment that has got a bit of everything in there. But yeah, I think it does push me a lot more to like be a part of that sort of that list, one of the pommel gods. So, but yeah, I'm excited to like push that as far as I can, which will help other apparatuses as well. Such as, like I said, like P-bar, because I think P-bar is like a combination of high bar and pommel, and I think it's just finding that balance between that. That's for myself on parallel bars, but yeah.
What do you think you have to do, Jamie? Last couple of questions. You're the British champion now, so you're the best all-around gymnast in the country as it stands. What do you have to do between now and LA? Because there are a lot of young, talented kids that are going to come up through this cycle. The juniors just went and won the Europeans again last year.
They did.
Some very talented kids coming through that will become seniors. What do you need to do in between now and LA to make sure that you stay at the top of that pack?
I think mostly just focus on myself. Like don't pay attention too much about what anyone else is doing, what they're doing. It has to come a little bit of like, you have to be a bit selfish. I mean, obviously, if you're gonna help out someone and they're in like a hardship, help them out. But I think that's what I learnt from like Europeans. I was sort of paying attention a little bit too much to other people. I was looking around, wasn't focusing on myself. And then I think I just went a little bit too hard on that first tumble, and that's where I sat down on the double front. And then after that, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to abandon everything everyone's like tried to help me out with, which I appreciate, but I'm just going to do my own thing now. So I just went on pommel, just didn't look at anyone. Don't usually like looking at other people when they compete. When they do, I was like, why am I going to look at them? Like, it's not going to help me. Unless it's like a team, I think it's very different. But in individual, I just think about myself. It's just me in this gym. I'm going to go up, when it's my time, I'll go up there and do a routine. I think it's just that. I think it's just Not being fully closed off though. Like obviously you're gonna take things on board here and there, but if something works for you, stick at it and then see what other things that could go towards like your sort of style of how you can perform your best. I think it's just that really.
Amazing, mate. I think that's a great thing for every young athlete to hear, because I think once you start getting some success and you start maybe going away without your personal coach, all of a sudden there's a lot of opinions coming in, and actually you need to hear the right advice at the right time. And if those coaches don't know you, they might, the intention is good, but it might be the wrong thing. You don't need to hear that. So that's not their fault. You've got to learn what do I listen to, what don't I listen to, and how do I just focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think that was a perfect answer to that. I think the last question I'll ask you, Jamie, is that given that you've had this success this year, and it sounds like you're in a great place, mate, and it's really interesting listening to you talk. I didn't know what conversation we'd get today, but I've been surprised by, I think, the way that you've probably sat back and been quite introspective and thought about yourself and learnt about yourself. You seem very mature and calm, and that's like really exciting for you in the future. There are some athletes, friends of mine, that have been on this podcast and some others, that maybe are a similar age to you, same generation, and maybe whether it's next year, the Commonwealth Games, or it's competing with Great Britain in the next few years as they go into LA, they've had that period of being successful as a junior and then just struggling to make that transition. Being someone that's been able to go through that struggle period and now be on the other side of that and have some success, what advice would you give to someone that's maybe in their gym by themselves with their coach, like you were with Simon in those times when no one was really paying much attention? What advice would you give somebody in that position?
I think just everything you really need is like in front of you. Like you're in a gym and you have your coach, and then you have yourself, apparatuses and everything. Like you have everything. So the first thing you need to do is just actually believe that you can do it, or whatever you're trying to achieve, and just trust in the process. It's going to be hard, and the main thing was enjoy it. Just enjoy the journey, because when you get there to the destination, you're just gonna think like, "Whoa, it was the journey. That was what it was all about." I found myself at the European preparation. We had 2 routines on the apparatus, and I was like, "Wow, okay, this is tough." Like, because I think we went back to back on 2 days, maybe not. I think we did 2 days, two routines and everything. Next day I did 1 routine, and then the day after that we did 2 routines and everything. And yeah, we all knew it was going to be hard. And I just found myself like, just randomly when I was on the parallel bars, I started laughing to myself. Like literally, like I just started being like what? Like, I don't know, just started laughing to myself. And then I think it was all the hard stuff that we're going through and everything. It was just like, just to enjoy it. Like, we're doing this, whatever we're doing, like we're doing it. You ain't got to think about anything else. Just enjoy where you are and where you're heading. And I think that was the main thing that connected to how I did start from my wrist injury. And I think it was that point where I was like, wow, I went from that to being in the team and doing this crazy sport, doing all these numbers and hard work and everything. After this apparatus, I've got 4 more routines to go, 5, or maybe 6, I think, actually, maybe 4. And like, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm still doing it. But we keep going. So I think I think it's quite funny. But yeah, I think I wouldn't have done that if I didn't believe in myself. So yeah, you need to keep pushing, because it does, and it does pay off. It really does. So I think that's the main thing. Just trust in yourself, trust in your ability, trust in yourself, and just do the work, and it does come back. Like, it really does. So
amazing, mate. Absolutely perfect. Jamie, thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Sam. Thank you. Appreciate it.